the honor to introduce the speaker.
It is said that the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. But let me presume to take liberties with this well-known saying by saying that the foremost way to one's health is through his stomach. Sadly, this stark fact of life is followed more in the breach than in the compliance. Thanks to the fast pace of present-day life, what with the quick fixes for everything, which includes junk food. This is where nutrition is coming to help us avoid the easy and dangerous paths. We are fortunate today in having among us Mrs. Girijasivakumar, a well-known nutritionist of Bangalore. She holds a postgraduate degree in dietetics and public health nutrition from Delhi University, which incidentally is a pioneer in this field. Mrs. Girija has worked in the B.L. Kapoor Hospital, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, both in Delhi and Vijaya Health Center of Dr. Cherian in Chennai. She has conducted numerous health awareness workshops for industrial workers in Delhi and in Bangalore. She teaches nutrition to high school students of an ICSE school in Bangalore and is currently the nutritional consultant for Nightingale's Health Center, Chandre Arthritis Clinic and Healing Touch Clinic. She also runs a private clinic for diet counseling and yoga therapy and is also involved in the preparation of ragi-based products. She is an office bearer of the Bangalore chapter of the Indian Dietetic Association. What better credentials to talk to us on nutrition for elders? Over to Mrs. Girija.
Good evening, everybody. It's very nice to see you all today, and of course a few of you all I've already met, and it's a great pleasure to be with you all today. And let me first thank Mr. Venugopal Iyengar, and he's the past president and advisor, I think, of this, and Mr. Sheshadri, secretary, and of course Sir Rajgopal, who had remembered me and made it a point to call me for this occasion, and I'm really proud to be here. And it's always, I have a very good association of senior people because I've been working with Nightingales for the past 15 years. So I do conduct a lot of feedback programs related to nutrition. So I am really proud to be in this place, and let me first tell you what I will be talking to you all about. See, as a nutritionist, today I feel with the fast pace with which we are in this society, we are looking at things, everything in a quick way. We want to do things, we feel that we hardly have time for what we should have, especially eating. What I feel is, when we talk about food, the most important thing is what we eat. As a person, we look at different types of food. But what is required for our body, what is required for our family should be the priority. And that is what I thought will be the most important topic I will take. And then I will just go through a few slides which I have made related to the nutritional aspect. And then of course it's going to be an interactive session only, because what I want to know is if you have any specific queries to ask, which will be answered then and there. And more interestingly, it will be a question answer session where I can immediately answer to whatever possible way I can. I will try to put it, and then you will also be cleared of your few doubts. And if there is any specific queries on diabetes, nephro, or specific age-related geriatric nutrition problems, you are most welcome to be free to ask me any questions related. And if you require any specific recipes based on the ingredients, I am going to clarify that also. Okay? Now let me first start with my first slide, where you will all read as: not one substance taken into the body will provide all the nutrients required for your body. Do you all agree with me? Not one food. It has to be a combination of food, isn't it? We just don't take one food and say that it is rich in everything. In our Indian custom, we have a combination of ingredients right from the breakfast to the dinner. So it is always essential we have a combination of carbohydrates, we have a combination of protein and fat. That is the reason I said one particular food is not going to, it should be a combination of different substances, and whatever the nutrients we require, the food will differ. See, for example, if you want high caloric food, we take more of carbohydrates. If you need protein rich food, we need more of dals. And as a vegetarian, we have some nuts combination. But if you want to combine all these carbohydrates, protein and fat together, our traditional Indian diet is so well balanced. Our breakfast, our lunch, our dinner is very clearly planned, and unfortunately in today's lifestyle, we are following what is taken in the West, which is according to their temperature and their lifestyle. But in our traditional foods like breakfast for idlis, dosas, upma, pongal, all these have rich source of carbohydrates with some amount of protein, which is in the form of dal, and then little bit of oil for seasoning, or it is in the form of chutney. We take it in a very, what we call as required quantity. But then what we feel is it's filling. More than anything, it's filling. What we have to do is we have to relate the quantity. As we grow old, probably we reduce the quantity. When they are young, they take little. Gradually, when they become school going or adolescent, we increase the quantity. And then when they become adults, they take little more. And gradually, after 40 years, we come down on the quantity. And then we see our blood parameters. If we are healthy, we follow a different style. And then if we have specific problem, we cut down on some nutrients which are not to be taken in a large quantity. But nothing no to any of these food, but limited quantity. That's why we plan the food in such a way that no single food contain all the essential nutrients in the amounts needed for optimum. We have to ensure that there is not one food. We are combining all the foods together to have a meal. Okay? Next. Now, I think you must have seen this food pyramid. This is a food pyramid which is basically a triangular shape. The food pyramid, we say, is always narrow at the apex and broader at the base. Anybody tell me why is it that we have this shape for this? Why is it like this? Why is it narrow at the apex? Smaller quantities, very good. So the base is broader where you need them every other day. And the second, see, what is very important is your cereals, your carbohydrates, which provide you the energy. They are provided by your rice, your wheat, godi, your ragi, your any barley, jowar, whatever those cereal you take, that is the main source of carbohydrates for you. That you can take sometimes, people take in the form of bread, some people take it in the form of cereals, everything is fine, but that is the main source of energy for us. So we have that as the bottommost portion. And next we have, actually there is one slide which I could have added as green leafy vegetables. See, that I would always suggest as a second slide, because It's so important that green leafy vegetables provide you the good quality fiber, the good quality of iron and calcium, which not in a major vegetarian provides that type of calcium and iron. So the second part I would add as green leafy vegetables. And the third, of course, I would say your yellow colored vegetables. The second, you can also include these yellow colored fruits. Yellow colored, all these oranges and all come under that, and all these what we call as this pumpkin, yellow pumpkin will come under that. That because they contain lot of vitamin A. And the third, of course, is your protein content. We have good quality protein from your vegetarian diet and also a source from your non-veg diet. Protein source vegetarian diet, what do we get from dals, from all the grams or what we call as the legumes we call. Those are providing good quality proteins for us. And non-veg source, you all know, egg and meat products, and all these will provide you good quality proteins. So what is very important is you have to know, and milk and milk products we take in the form of curd, we take in the form of butter, cheese, all those things will have also good quality protein. They are also essential for the body. We cannot say they are not needed. But in case of restriction, we have to make sure that we restrict the intake of those also. But in general, there is a minimum quantity for all these things to be taken. Then the last but not the least is your... Okay, I will come. Called as the slot is for your oily foods. Basically, restriction of the quantity of oil to be used in your diet. Very important. We say coconut products. We have lot of sources of oil. What is important is make sure that you use them sparingly. Use oil. Without oil, oil is like what is called as a lubricant for the body. You need oil. You cannot say I don't want completely or I want only oil-free diet. It's not possible. You need little bit of oil to ensure that your body also needs that for lubricating your system. Your bones, your complete muscle, everything requires a little bit of oil, and your joints definitely work better with some lubrication. So you have to have them, but in limited quantities. See, lot of changes happen as we grow old. It's not only your physiological changes, social changes, what we call as different type of changes which are always accompanied. So what happens in physiological changes? After an age, what happens? We are not taking enough nutrients which are required for the body. For example, calcium. Calcium comes down as we grow old. But what happens, if we have to supplement that, we have to take a supplementation. Otherwise what happens, your quantity of calcium in the body comes down. So we always recommend when a lady is very close to menopause or after menopause, it is essential to take a specific supplementation of calcium, and sometimes if it is required to continue for a longer period, and then after 60 plus, you require to increase the supplement. So what happens is, the supplementation is essential even though you are taking all the calcium rich food. So like that, we have different sources. Like for example, iron. We may take a lot of green leafy vegetable. Suppose if there is shortage of vitamin B12 in your diet, you have to give them what is called as a B12 injection, which is essential. And suppose if the patient is diabetic, then all the more there may be a problem with some specific tablets. So there may be less absorption of vitamin B12, and which vitamin B12 is very least available in your vegetarian diet. So B12 again becomes a problem. So what do? You have to look at whether there is a deficiency of that particular vitamin B12, then you have to supplement it. You cannot say I cannot take. What will happen? You are going to have sometimes giddiness or some problem accompanied with your diabetes can become a major issue. So we have to keep checking our parameters every 3 months if you are diabetic. When we come to diabetic, I will talk to you. So we have to know about the physiological, socio-economic problem, and also essentially we have to make sure that we are going to be convinced with all these factors, the flexibility of the body comes down, and therefore the water content, and another major problem is the fluid content in the body. We have to take lot of fluids as we grow old. What happens, a major problem is a constipation problem. Constipation is a very, very difficult problem to tackle as we grow, because our activities have come down, the amount of agility and flexibility we had when we were young is not there when we are old. But doesn't mean we should reduce our fluid intake. We should take enough fluids in order to ensure that our body does not have this problem of constipation. And also very essential that we have specific, say for example, anybody tell me how many glasses of water is essential for a person?
8 glasses.
8 to 10 glasses minimum. See, as a person who says, okay, a person who is diabetic probably will feel uncomfortable, he takes too much water, but otherwise 10 to 11 glasses also is perfectly fine. Why? Because as water we have to take water. Let us not think we are taking soups, we are taking juice, we are taking some porridges, there some amount of water comes or in cooking some. No. As water, if you take water, it cleanses your system, the first and foremost thing. And more than anything, it definitely prevents you from getting this problem of constipation. So it's a major important factor that fluid content should be taken in plenty and in the form of water only. See, the other common problems are osteoporosis, which is basically the lack of calcium in the diet can become a major problem. And this, of course, you know, calcium is plenty available in milk and milk products, and ragi, till, sesame seeds have got excellent source of calcium. So even once a week, if you make dry roasted sesame seed and powder it and take with rice, it's excellent. So the taste, you don't add any oil, just dry roasted sesame seed with little salt and just mix it with rice. That is one of the best things you can take in the form of sesame combination. So that can be, and of course ragi, Karnataka's the richest source of cereal, which has got excellent source of iron and calcium and good source of fiber also. So only for people who are basically sometimes, you know, because of the weather conditions, some people may not digest. But if ragi is combined with other cereals, is combined with other pulses, nothing like ragi which can form a solid combination of nutrients, which is a very good source for everybody for the matter, because it provides a lot of nutrients which no other nutrient, like even for a cereal, when I tell you, ragi is the only cereal which contains essential required source of iron and calcium. Your wheat does not have, rice does not have, whereas ragi has got that. That's why we say the in villages where they take ragi as a main course cereal, they don't have what is called as this problem of calcium and iron. Anemia is very less in the outskirts of Bangalore because they are good source of calcium and iron. So that is one reason I always tell my patients and people to cultivate that habit of eating ragi. You know, we are also in Karnataka, we also be part of their type of cereal and staple food. And of course, your green leafy vegetables contain lot of calcium and iron. All type of greens, not just one variety. Every greens, whether it's subsidy or your dantan or palak or methi or pudina, coriander, everything in combination has got good source of iron and calcium. So it's very good to have these, and oranges, figs and raisins have got iron and calcium of course. And what is the next common problem is the obesity, which is where we have to insist on a low calorie diet. We can't give them low protein diet. We can give them low calorie diet, medium protein and low fat diet. We cannot give them low protein diet. So it's very important to keep those things in mind. And high fiber foods for obese people. High fiber, when I mean, is to have lot of green leafy vegetables as vegetarians, and also very important to have whole grains. The red rice is preferable for your refined rice, and whole wheat is preferable, and not mixed with maida. Whole wheat ground naturally is the best option. Of course, when you have what we call as unable to get the type of stuff we are supposed to, then probably we go for this branded and packaged one, which is still okay because there is some amount of maida, right? But majority of your fiber should come from whole grains and whole grain cereals. That will be the best option. And of course, taking lot of green leafy vegetables, salads, and even what I would suggest is children, if they are not taking salads, you can make them in the form of soup, or combine the soup with some your dals or salads or whatever, anything. Then soup you mix it, soup and salad can be a combination. And nowadays they are so used to bread. At least let us give them brown bread. In comparison to the white bread, let us give them brown bread. But of course, that's not my choice. But definitely, we can look at the best from what is available. And anemia. See, this is the most important thing which I am always worried about in our population, because anemia is still a major problem in not only the urban, in the villages, and also in our what we call as adult and senior population, because the amount of iron what we eat, if you have other nutrients which are lacking, then the absorption of iron also becomes less. So we have to ensure some tablets prevent iron absorption. So we have to make sure that what we eat at least has got some good quality of iron, and thereby I have suggested green leafy vegetables and also fruits. Some fruits which have good source of dry fruits are, a handful of dry fruits, at least a few dry fruits a day is okay. But if you are diabetic, make sure that you have all the other things apart from your, it's not that you should not take them completely. Suppose your sugar level is perfectly under control, then once in a way you can have, there is no problem. But what is important is what you take during that period is very important. Whenever you talk about diet, it's not that, oh, this is totally banned, I cannot take. But you have to look at your parameters and suggest as to what can be had in place of that. We have to look for options. And as I said, constipation is a very major problem. And see, people do take a lot of these Isabgol and other products which are available. But I would always suggest first let us go through a natural way of eating. Then, in spite of it, if it doesn't subside, we have no option but to look for the alternative. But that way, fiber-rich foods, green leafy vegetables and salads, fluids in the form of soups, buttermilk, porridges. Pomegranate is a very good source of fiber, and banana, of course, you all know. In that banana also, you look for the smaller A-lety banana, because green banana has got a lot of carbohydrates. That's why we avoid that for a diabetic patient. And figs, of course, has also got a lot of calories, but it's normal people, it is perfectly fine, because it's got iron, calcium and fiber. People taking a lot of these sugar-free, low-calorie, what we call as the substitutes is one thing I always like to tell, that avoid taking those type of things which are just going to help you to have the sweet tinge. But what is important is, let us get our body used to without sugar. What is happening when we say, okay, we want to take coffee only. I am not used to taking coffee without sugar. But no, what we have to do is, first, if you are used to taking half a teaspoon, cut down to quarter teaspoon. Then continue that quarter teaspoon for some time, and then slowly give up that quarter teaspoon. And one fine day you will see you will not be able to take even a little bit of sugar in your coffee. The taste buds get used to what you are taking. It's all in our mind. If we convince ourselves, first one thing is whatever we take as a diet, we have to convince our mind. We have to convince it is for my good. It is for not anybody else. It is for my health. In order to make me healthier and to make me more stronger and for a longer period, I am doing this. Once you convince yourself psychologically, you will be much better mind frame. That's the most important thing. And then avoid starchy food. This is very important for a diabetic person. See, for example, avoid your carbohydrate content at one shot. What we tell a diabetic person is break your meals into 5 meals, not 3 meals as a normal course. Early morning, then we have a coffee or tea, whatever. Then your morning breakfast. At 11 o'clock, your mid-morning, then lunch, evening light snack, and then your dinner by 8:30. Sometimes if the patient is on insulin, we even tell them to take a bedtime snack, whether it's a half cup milk or sometimes a small piece of whatever they have had, a portion or a buttermilk, something we tell them to have, because there is a long gap between your dinner and the next day breakfast. always remember that long gap should not become a problem, should not cause a problem in diabetic people especially. So we always tell them to break their meals and eat at frequent smaller portions. Don't take, suppose you are going to take 3 pulkas, take 2 and maybe 1 to take after some time. Doesn't matter. That is much better off than taking all the 3 pulkas at one shot. So the body also breaks down gradually, and then your stomach, as the secretion happens, you also don't feel hungry. You have something at that time. That's very, very important. And of course, for plenty of salads, soups and porridges, and medium carbohydrates is fine, medium proteins is fine, and medium fat is okay. But depending on your triglyceride cholesterol level, we will have to think of that plan. Of course, Mossambi, papaya, unless the sugar is very high, I don't restrict on these 2 fruits. Once in a way, I do give them, and also make sure that they are going to eat some amount of fruit once in a way. Not totally be away from fruits. That's not the best. It's just that once in a way you should give them a piece of papaya or a piece of guava. Is fine. Guava is also good because it's got some fiber content in it. And hypertension, we always restrict on a low salt diet. That's the most important thing. What we say is, see, people say that we are so used to taking pickles, we are so used to taking this puppet, how can we reduce fat? It's not that. See, what I'm trying to tell you is, you would have prepared dal or sambar or whatever. Just get used to little bit. Worst comes to us, if you still want to have a pickle, you put the limbu, different types of, the varieties or deciduous varieties, and just soak it in salt and pickle or whatever it is, then just rinse it once and take it. It is okay. It's still okay because you are longing for that little craving of that limbu. Doesn't matter. You take it. But make sure you wash it without that oil and the masala so that less you can come down on the salt intake. So once in a way it's okay. And then next one. See, I have made a few recommendations of the calories. See, 25 to 30 calories per kg body weight is what is recommended for a normal physical activity person who is basically into what we call as, depending on your activity, divide into sedentary, moderate and heavy workers. So according to your activity, we can divide the calories. So this is in general, I have just given your 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per kg body weight, and need to adjust for specific illness, trauma, infection and ulcers. Fat, 25 to 30% of the total calories. Emphasis should be on reducing intake of saturated fat and choosing mono-unsaturated and polyunsaturated, not what we call as the saturated fats. When we say saturated fat, it is all your butter, ghee, etc., which becomes solidified at room temperature. That they are called saturated fat. The other things are your vegetable oil. They don't contain cholesterol. Basically, the vegetable oil, they give a big this thing on the cover, there is no cholesterol. No vegetable oil contains cholesterol. So it's what we call as, making people tell that we are not aware. So consumers also should be very smart nowadays. With all these type of things, restrict your cholesterol and strike a balance between what is the benefit you get from that and what can be a burden if you take more. So we have to think and eat before you select your fat. Of course, carbohydrates basically comes from, you should take high complex carbohydrates. When I say complex carbohydrates, which are carbohydrates which have got a lot of fiber, which can take a longer time to digest in your body. When you say refined rice, which is basically a white rice, it digests quickly. Whereas your red rice or your boiled rice takes a longer time because of the outer bran. So that is very essential for the body because it has to break and then get into the caloric mode. So we have to know what to take and how to take in the restricted form. Complex carbohydrates can provide essential vitamins, minerals and dietary fiber and add bulk to the product. That means it gives satiety that where you feel full. If you don't take rice or wheat, will we be full? We won't. We feel like eating something or the other. So let not totally fast our body. We have to take little bit, but in good quantity. In the quantity which is restricted. That's very, very important. The main nutrients which are to be considered, apart from the general nutrients, is your calcium and vitamin D. They are interconnected. Where there is less absorption, then vitamin D If you don't have enough calcium, then probably your vitamin D, how much ever you take, exclude whatever it is not going to be absorbed. So it has to be very carefully whether your body has got enough calcium and vitamin D. That plays a major role. And then of course your vitamin B12, as I told you earlier, has become a major factor nowadays, because after coffee, doctors say that it is an important source. People who are diabetic, especially, there may be some specific medication which can reduce the absorption of vitamin B12. So you have to be very careful as to what you are taking. Your fiber content should be very good. Potassium, which comes from all your fruits, is essential for your body, and this potassium is very important for your sodium. Sodium and potassium are together. It's like how much ever you have sodium, potassium also has to be in that level for it to be absorbed. So we have to be very careful. And zinc, of course, provides lot of antioxidant effect, and that provides you resistance to a longer state. That's the main reason why we have to add some amount of zinc in our diet. And antioxidants, you all know that they help in removing the free radicals which are formed in the body. Thereby, antioxidants are available in a lot of our spices. Our ginger has got a lot of antioxidants. Our hing, all your what we call as badams, they will provide some omega-3 fatty acids are available. All these things provide you enough antioxidant. Your green tea provides a lot of antioxidant. That's why we see a lot of people having the decoction of green tea, which definitely has a positive aspect on your body. And fluids, of course, never neglect this fluid, which is though last, is one of the important things in your body. It helps your body to function normally. If not for the fluid, you are in for a lot of problems, especially constipation, and also your, what we call as your metabolic, your complete system does not function properly without the amount of fluid essential for your body. So fluid also plays an important role. And I've just given a sample diet of 1,800. See, I've just given you how many of you take water is the first thing in the morning. As you brush your teeth, after brushing, please, it's my request to all of you, take at least 1 glass to start. 1 glass of warm water for the body. It has got excellent, what we call as effect on your system. Don't start with directly your coffee or tea, which is acidic. Take a glass of water which neutralizes your system because you've had it after a long gap. So make sure that you take 1 glass to start off. Even if in this weather you don't feel like taking cold water, take warm water. That's perfectly fine. Take warm water, lukewarm water, and then go ahead with taking a little bit of probably what I call as increase the water. 1.5 glass. Then make it 2 glasses. I'd be happy if you're taking 2 glasses of warm water. And then remember, how many classes I told you? Totally 11 classes at least. So how do you put them? See, in between, no, when you are taking, in between just go fill up the bottle of water. How much ever you are supposed to take, fill up those 2 or 3 bottles on the day. So that you remember every time when you see the bottle that I have to take water. So by the end of the day, probably you will know what is the quantity of had. Otherwise you say, I don't know how many, maybe I've had 3, maybe I've had 6, maybe I've had 7. No, that's not the way. You should know how much you are taking. So ensure that you fill up this water bottle with the water, and make sure by the end of the day, probably the first day you must have taken 6 glasses. You may have increased it to 8 glasses. You can feel nice when you've taken more water, and definitely you will feel this benefit in your system. That much I can assure you. So in between, say for example, I have told you 1 glass of water is fine. Coffee or tea with any wheat biscuit. See, probably if you don't want to take just plain coffee or tea, some people have this acidity problem. For those people, I make sure that they have to have at least 1 piece of rusk along with the dry rusk, wheat rusk, something to take along. Acidity is absolutely to be taken care, because if you leave that, it can cause a lot of what we call as effect on the gastrointestinal tract. The acidic secretion can lead to other problems. So always look at the acidity problem. Why do you get acidity problem? Because you are not taking water in the first place. Of course, lot of stress and tension may also be a reason, but we can definitely control it by taking timely food, lot of fluids, and cut down on your spicy foods. Avoid pickles, parfaits, salted, preservative foods. Very important for acidity problem. So coffee and tea, of course, has to be cut down. People who take 6 to 7 glasses of coffee a day, they have to first start with 3 glasses, cutting down to 3 glasses, then making it to 2 glasses. more than enough. 2 glasses. If you feel like taking, what you can do is instead of taking a big glass, cut down to half a glass. Then that other half probably you can take in that 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock. So that you are not increasing the quantity, that you have to keep in mind that my health is important. I have to be consciously doing what is good for me. So when you take coffee or tea with wheat biscuit, you feel quite okay. You are not feeling very hungry. You don't feel very hungry at 8 o'clock, isn't it? So then you go for your walk or whatever you feel as some sort of a stroll. Some people try to, if you are not diabetic, I always tell them, go first thing, have your water and finish your walk and come. So that way you feel that you are finished on work also. If you feel that you are going to, become hypoglycemic, probably I will tell them to have a biscuit and some water before they go for a walk. It's always better. Then come back, have maybe a good breakfast, and even of course yoga plays a very important role. Even if you don't do major stretching and straining exercises, just do a little bit of breathing exercise. That alternate nostril breathing tremendously helps people. And that will open, not thinking of what is for the day. Keep your mind away from the regular activity. That time is for you. Keep thinking, let us be selfish at some time of part of the year. Let's not worry about them. Let us worry about our body. 15 minutes for yourself. Go to the balcony or wherever you get fresh air. Sit consciously focusing on your alternate nostril breathing. You will feel that you have benefited from it. But of course you know that alternate nostril or any yoga therapy has to be basically learned from somebody who's done it, not on your own to start. So once you get used to the rhythm, it's very easy, and yoga is not at all difficult. It's a simple aspect. You can do little bit of water stretching and breathing exercises, more than enough. Then breakfast, depending on your weight and your activity, it can be 2 idlis or medium idlis, 2 or 3, and then your 2 dosas with less oil. Always let's cut down on our oil intake. And whatever it is, it can be a upma or a pongal or whatever you take. But if you are taking all these processed foods, when I say processed foods, I mean all these cornflakes, wheat flakes or whatever it is, these have to be restricted not more than twice a week. Because you all do not know this hidden preservative which is added in these. They are processed. The word processed means there is something which is added to it in order to have a shelf life for a longer period. So we have to ensure that these have to be cut down, and even for children for that matter, I've always suggested people, please introduce our traditional breakfast as much healthier compared to your continental breakfast. So let's introduce them once in a week. It's not that they should not take, but let it be only twice or thrice maximum, but preferably take what is that we have been following traditionally. Our steamed idlis are one of the best breakfasts which you can have, even 3 days or 4 days a week. You can, instead of coconut chutney, you can have pudina chutney or tomato chutney. Why should we always depend on coconut? Because coconut on regular aspect is not good for you. Okay. And sambar is a very good option, but it should be a thin sambar, not very thick sambar. Let it be a thin sambar. And mid-morning, definitely you have to have something, either a glass of buttermilk or a fruit or 2 biscuits along with water. Water has to be remembered at every course of your meal. That's very essential. Then lunch, depending on your eating habits, whether it's going to be rice or pulkas, you have to have 2 pulkas with a cup of dal or 1 cup of vegetables. If you are taking meat, the lean meat preparation, not with the gravy. And of course, a salad is a must. Get used to the salad habit, because if you are not able to chew, make it in the form of raita. Grate it, put it in curd and have it like a kachri or raita. And of course, rice is fine. Alternatively, rice can be given. If people who are taking 2 pulkas, rice has to be restricted. If you are not taking pulkas, but try to restrict your rice level to the minimum after 1 week, because the reason why is it's a starchy food, but depending on how much you take. If you are going to take very less quantity, then doesn't matter. But if your quantity is little more, then you can make 1 pulka and little of rice. So you can have both together so that balances your starch level. And of course your tea or coffee with 2 Mari biscuits, and or you can have some snack but not a fried snack. It can be even this avlaki or whatever, in the roasted form is perfectly fine. There is no problem. Or sometimes you feel having some soup at like 6 o'clock, 6:30. You can shift that soup from dinner to the evening. So you can even have a cup of tea with one biscuit and have your soup. So how you balance the whole day's diet is what is essential. And one serving of salad has to be in the habit. Like, get used to eating salads. Once you get used to having salads on a regular basis, it gives you a lot of nutrients which on cooking, you all know vitamin B and C is lost in plenty when you wash the vegetables. So what is essential is retain the nutrients which are available. So lettuce is available as green leafy vegetable. You have a lot of these cucumber, tomato, onions, and also your sprouts. Once in a week you can have a handful of sprouts into your salad. If you feel the sprouts are not digesting, cook it a little bit and add to your mint chutney. Keep your pudina chutney always standard. Keep some baked pudina chutney, which is an excellent source of antioxidant. Make some pudina chutney in combination with coriander and green chilies and keep that chutney. Maybe it will last 2-3 days, nothing happens. So put it in the refrigerator and mix it with your snack for the evening, or it can be taken with your salad also. That you mix it, and even for instead of your coconut chutney, you can have that chutney for the morning. So like that you combine, automatically you yourself feel that you are eating healthy. And I think next is your exercise part, and aerated drinks, all these things to be avoided. Of course, I know many of you don't take this. Aerated drinks, preserved and canned foods, oily foods of course is to be restricted. Eating out on a regular basis and long gap between meals, and not to eat in front of your TV with your cereals. Because what happens is we are not aware of what you are eating. Right from an infant of 2 years to an old age person, it's very difficult if you are going to concentrate. As we say, that's the time we have to have as a family time, when we sit together. We discuss whatever. So we don't talk too much, but then at least let's focus on what we are eating at that time. Let's not think about too much of these things. Let us not bother about what is happening in somebody else's life in serial. Let us look at our way of eating. That's very, very essential. We should know what we are eating. It's very important, and people slowly are getting this trend of watching in front of, eating in front of TV. I don't think, I think we should shift the TV to some other room, not very close to them. Okay, and of course your exercise plays a major role in your day-to-day activity. Next. Regular exercise, eating the right food at the right time, drink plenty of water. Water is the most important source of what we call as essential fluid, which is required for the body for all your metabolic activity. And consume seasonal fruits and vegetables. This again I would like to mention that you all know the seasonal fruits and vegetables have to be taken in plenty. Don't go for the off-season fruits and vegetables which do not have the nutritive value, and of course you all know the coloring and others, like a combination of different adulterants also happen. So let's stick to the seasonal fruits which are available in plenty and more fresh. They are much fresher than what is available in non-seasonal fruits. Okay? So with this, I am just winding up with the basics what I have spoken, but I am going to ask you all some questions, or if you have any queries or clarification, you are most welcome to ask. Thank you.
You actually want to say age-wise or digestive power size, because you are telling cup of water. It's for me it may be like it. For boys means you are not given a quantity.
For how old you are talking about? See, this I have specifically prepared for this particular age. Yes, above 15 I would say. But for a smaller child, they may take 6 to 7 glasses of water. They may not take more. Yeah, in general. But if you are going to increase to 8 or 9, and if the child is an active in sports, I will be very happy. Nothing, it's not going to harm them at all. I can assure that. But what I want to do, they should not take less. And many of the parents come to me with constipation problem. And that's when you realize the child does not take water. The child takes juice, or not our fresh juice, aerated drinks. So they think that the child is taking juice in the form of aerated drinks, and that suffers the quantity what is required for the body. No, they are not giving water as water because the child doesn't take. Simple answer from the parent. I said you have not cultivated the habit from the very young age. If you cultivate habit of eating salads and soups from the young age, the child will not say no. Of course, some children are exceptional, but majority of the children will listen when you start from young. If you start giving them aerated drinks and preserve, you know, I go to this baby care centers for workshops, and you know, the person, the man keeps telling me all the time, ma'am, why don't you address the parents? Every time I address them, I tell them, please don't send them chips for their break. If you cultivate the habit of giving a big bowl of chips for the break in the dabba, the child would have had the breakfast properly. Then this oily food will not get the appetizer of what is supposed to be taken during lunchtime. The child goes home, the child refuses to eat food. The child asks for one more sweet because the child is already full with the chips. See, the problem is, as parents, we have to inculcate good eating habits right from the beginning. Then we can't take, oh, the child does not take this. Very sincerely the parent says, the child does not take this vegetable. I said, why are you leaving it at that? Then every time you can't be preparing what the child takes. You have to make it a rule. This is what is available in the house. You have to take. You eat or not. 2 days the child will fast. The third day will come back to you and eat what is available at home. How long can the child be hungry? We as parents have to be strict at certain times and ensure. In fact, I told you about the starting product which I have been. It's my 20-year product. I am not exaggerating. Initially, I started with my eldest son who is started this at the 7th month. In fact, today he tells me, Amma, I'm missing the porridge in Sudharkal. I said, why? Because the combination, and he is a sports person, he tells me, we don't get great food in Sudharkal, but you send me some form of this porridge. So I came up with this laddus. I started making ragi laddu with the same ingredient because he's an athlete. He can definitely take some sugar and tea and nuts. So I put that and I sent him. He said, Amma, I substitute this for my breakfast. I said, because the reason why is they got so used to that ragi. And I am not exaggerating. It's definitely given me, the children, a good stamina of calcium in the bones. It's definitely true. Because ragi as a cereal from every day, that was their breakfast in the morning. They used to take a glass of porridge and go to school. School is at 7:30. They have no option of eating idli dosa. They have to take it. So once you inculcate the habit, it will happen. My daughter is very fussy. Even today she said, she'll tell that lady who comes and writes, why do you ask her to come and do every month like this? I said, no, this is what is available. If you don't eat, you don't eat, that's all. What else will they do? One day they will starve, the second day what is available, she started. There is no way that a parent can, we have to be consistent. We say it is what is available. Then automatically they come back. 1 day, 2 days they will be hungry, doesn't matter. They are going to eat healthy. That is more important for us. Same thing with vegetables. When parents say, I don't prepare this because they don't like it. No. Let us say this is what is available. Let us all eat. And if you give them the benefits of it, no problem.
Should we drink milk at night, old people?
See, sir, you are normal, no? You don't have any sugar problem. You are diabetic. Okay, you take without sugar, no? Cut down, please take milk. Instead of, you take 1 glass or half glass. Small glass, fine. It's perfectly fine. What time is your dinner, sir? 8 o'clock. Perfectly. That's what is called as a bedtime snack. We definitely ask them to take a small glass of milk before they go to sleep. It gives you a better sleep also.
What's the difference between milk and curd?
Okay. Let me come back to you. If a person is taking curd and he is very happy, frankly to say, it's all these probiotics which are available in the market, I would say our essential curd which is available and our idlis which are available are much more nutritive when compared to all these. So I definitely recommend, if you are confident and if you feel that your curd is, you feel happy, you continue with curd. There is no need that you should take. As long as you feel full and contented with what you have eaten, you don't worry. But only thing is, make sure that you don't take it, say 7 o'clock or 7:30. Make it at 8:30. By 8:30 if you finish is fine.
What is dry fruits? Dry fruits.
I prefer in the morning. Breakfast, mid-morning. What is it? Which particular diet food you are asking?
Badam, the walnut and packages.
Okay. How is your triglyceride cholesterol level? Cholesterol?
Normal.
Everything is normal. Go ahead with 3 badams and 1 walnut is perfect. Dry grapes avoid. Avoid dry grapes.
Raisins?
That's what raisins avoid. Avoid on a regular basis. Take maybe once or twice a week, not every day.
If anybody suffers from water retention problem,
Yes.
how to manage this 11 glass?
How to manage?
11 glass of water.
Okay. Retention problem. Is there any complete kidney problem along with that? No.
What is their nature?
Okay.
Water retention.
Okay. So what you can see, there is no constipation problem. Okay. Then it's perfectly fine. How much you take?
5 to 6 glasses.
I think you should increase little more, sir. Little more. Maybe 8 glasses to start off. Nothing is going to happen. Even the retention, whatever it is, you have no problem with other things. So you can go ahead, at least increase to 2 glasses more. I'll be very happy.
Can you say in liters?
3 liters. 2.5 liters if you take, I'll be very happy. Say medium sized glass, 5 to 6 glasses make a bottle, isn't it? 5 glasses, the small one. So 2 bottles at least in that type. See, it's a big glass, depending on the glass again. Say 2 distillery bottle, you all know. That distillery bottle, 2.5 if you take, perfect. 2.5 distillery water bottle. Yes, 2.5 liters.
Why did you say to restrict raisins?
No, because what happens is, if a person is prone, and especially at an age when he is going to take every day, I don't want his sugar level to vary. Which you all know that raisins have got sugar. So especially for if I say can take and they take more, then there becomes a problem of the sugar. Even on a long run, after 70 or 75 days, every chance of your glycemic level going to vary. So you have to be very careful. Huh?
You should not take raisins.
No, not every day. I don't recommend raisins every day. Because of the sugar content in the raisin.
How many days per week?
Twice a week I told you. Twice a week, this much. Not more than that.
So what are the ways of taking omega-3 and 6 fatty acids?
See, omega-3.
For vegetarians.
Yes.
And nowadays people have switched over to taking oats for breakfast.
Okay.
So, but we recommend the traditional ones. No? So what is your opinion about taking oats every day regularly?
See, frankly to tell you, I am always for the traditional breakfast. See, for example, if you are taking idlis is made of dal, idli is got rice combination, okay? But if a person is diabetic, I tell them 2 days you take idli, 2 days you take oats, 2 days you take ragi. So you are balancing all the nutrients from all the cereals. See, then every day oats, oat has got some fat. We can't say oat has not got fat. Oats has got fat, it's got fiber. So because it's got fiber, it's got more goodness. So we say it doesn't matter. No, but if you are adding the milk and taking, then it is going to be a combination of fat, protein and your fiber and your calories. So when you take idli with pudina chutney, where is the fat coming from? There is no fat. In that I would say if you take 2 idlis or 3 idlis, take a big glass of buttermilk, churn it nicely, remove the cream, take a big glass of buttermilk. You are substantially taking care of your breakfast. More than enough. Why to go for oats then? Not needed. So if you want to combine, it's always better to have a combination diet. Even oily, for example, let me tell you, don't stick to one oil. Each oil has got different nutrients. So what you do is one day, basically what you can do is, this particular oil, one day you take till oil, one day you take vegetable oil, one day you take olive oil. Olive oil some people do not like for Indian cooking. But what I can suggest is, because it is essentially some nutrients which are present there, we can substitute once in a while. But otherwise, your combination of vegetable oil, your ghee little bit, your till oil, gingery oil, which is one of the best oil I always suggest people. It's excellent source.
Coconut oil should be avoided.
Coconut because of saturation, but some families, once in a way is fine, perfectly fine. See, that's why I say nothing is so much. Everything you combine, keep the minimum requirement, say 2 to 3 teaspoons or 4 teaspoons maximum of oil a day. In natural way of, you don't have to calculate. Just 4 teaspoons. 1 teaspoon of oil provides 45 calories. So 4 teaspoons of oil plus some calories coming from carbohydrates, some coming, 1 cup of dal provides you 100 calories, kilocalories. So cooked dal, when you are having 1 cup, is sufficient for the body. And our traditional, especially South Indian diet, has got excellent balance of all these things. In North India, people use more of ghee. They use lot of seasoning ghee. So they do restrict their ghee content. But otherwise, even the rajma and chole, even compared to what we make, it always has more oil compared to it. So when we say cooking, we have to be consciously using less oil in our cooking. Use more of, traditionally we have this cooked preparation. We cook dal and rice and dal and vegetable together. And that itself is a nutritive substitute. That every alternate days if we have, okay, you can't have it every or at least twice a week we can have it. Dal sambar has not got much oil, we just season it with little oil. Our traditional food has got excellent balanced nutritive value.
Taking daily Horlicks?
Horlicks?
Daily.
You are not diabetic, no sir? Okay. Horlicks every day basically is a skimmed milk and a barley product, so no problem. But what I would suggest is take a natural supplement. Like say for example, you are not used to a combination of roasted grains and all that. Porridge shuttle, so if you are used to Horlicks, fine, go ahead. But I don't know how far it will fill your stomach. You are taking as a mid-morning drink?
No, for breakfast.
Only that?
No, not only that. What is it? Two morning days and Horlicks.
Instead of some drink, he takes.
Horlicks.
Okay,
Coffee.
you
Don't
take tea, coffee? No, don't take coffee.
Early morning 1 cup of coffee, 9 o'clock Horlicks.
Okay, but instead of taking along with idli dosa, can you shift it to 11 or 10:30? That will be a better option. Because you have already had some, for you to, if something hot you want, you have it once a day. But if you shift it to that 11 o'clock, then you will not feel very hungry. At what time you have your lunch?
1:30.
See, there's a long gap.
No, midtime take it at 11 o'clock, get fruit and biscuit.
You are taking, then it's fine. Then you take water. Don't forget water.
Water, the SC50.
Two, okay. Increase it slightly. Okay, you spoke about omega-3 fatty acids. See, basically your badam, walnuts, all these contain omega-3 fatty acids. But what is very important is your flax powder, which is available as for vegetarians. The flaxseed powder, which is available in English, etc., where you can powder it and put it in your sambar or vegetable, just 1 spoon. But if you're diabetic, you have to just talk to your doctor and reduce the quantity. See, for diabetic, some people say there is some what we call as value-based changes which happen. So for those people, very cautiously I make sure that they don't take every day. Maybe twice a week is fine. But others, 1 teaspoon, easily every day 1 spoon, which takes care of your omega-3 fatty acids.
6 sugar, is it?
Huh? No, it's basically omega-3 powder. It's nothing else, nothing much. It's a powder from a dry seed. Thin sambar, see, what I'm telling is, every household has got a different way of preparing sambar. Some houses where the dal is so thick, when you put the ladle, it is so thick, it's not, you should avoid taking thick sambars every day. Thin, medium thin, it's not very thick, it's not very thin. That sambar will help you to get a protein. If you don't have to add excess protein, what is protein available to all the dals and other vegetables also sufficient. But what I am telling is, thick sambar should be avoided. Medium thin sambar is better. Suppose you want to take a second helping, you can go generously on the second helping. Whereas if you take thick sambar, you can't go for the second helping because your calories are increased from that. That's why I have specified as thin
How to
sambar.
prepare ragi kanji? Is it
Yeah.
a fried powder is available in the market?
Yes.
Is it good or ordinary powder?
See, ragi powder, that's what I brought for you all. To just give, this is my product where I have mixed 8 ingredients right now with 2 what we call as carbohydrate products, which are sprouted. Ragi, godi are sprouted, and to that I have added barley, sago, boiled rice very little to a portion, and I have added yellow dal, green moong, and that fried gram, fried gram is used for fried, that one, and little carbohydrate enough to balance the nutritional value. I have mixed, it's my product where it's actually combined with nutritional value where we sprouted, roasted, in fact it's shortly going to be available in English, but today actually I thought, okay, this what happened, this product is roasted, sprouted and roasted, and then powdered. This powder, which is packaged, not only for your ragi powder, it's for your milk based. We give for children with milk and sugar or milk and jaggery. But for adults, this powder is prepared in such a way, this can be taken with buttermilk and little salt and ink. So it can be taken otherwise, and also can be made dosa from the same powder. See this, I have given the instruction on that. Say for example for one person, if you want to take a glass of that oil, take 1.5 tablespoon of the powder, put it in half cup water, nicely mix it, like how you make custard. Ensure that you mix it and put it on the gas stove, thicken it. Once you keep on stirring, it thickens like a powder. Then add milk or jaggery, or you can, because I am not added elaichi powder in that. So you can also put buttermilk. Even in the buttermilk I am telling, churn the buttermilk, remove the cream. Because that also you are skimming the buttermilk. That you add to it, not make it very thin, make it medium thin, and then put little salt and tea. That's it. Once you put that, you can have it as a big glass of morning porridge. But people who wanted to have it as a breakfast substitute because it's balanced, can take a thicker version of it in a bowl. And then of course, this can be made into dosas. The same powder, maybe because it comes soft. Say for 1 cup of this powder, small cup, you add 1.5 tablespoon of rice flour. That will give that base crisp. If you don't mind crisp, it's fine. Otherwise, you can even add roti rubber. So this can be made into dosa with little green chilies, curry leaves, etc. All this typical how you make godi dosa, you can make that. But the taste is totally different. And then you can make rotis. Ragi roti, you know how they prepare this roti, where they make only the ragi. But since it's combination of all, even 1.5 of the roti is filled because it's protein added. So this roti you can mix with little onion, kothmir, curry leaves, green chilies, ginger, hing, all that you mix it. Put very little coconut because you know the thickness or binding factor. You put little coconut, mix it nicely, and you can put it in banana leaf or whatever. Just put it on some plastic covers also used. But once you put it ulta on the tawa, it's a leaf, it's always there. Smear it with little oil, put it and like how you make ada or dosa, but not much of oil. You depends on how you want it. You make it in non-stick also. But why I am telling all this, we have to make substitutes for our health. Basically, in order to ensure that our health is balanced, we have to make sure that we take all types of nutrients at the same time. We are consciously eating what is good for us. See, calcium, protein, fiber, fluid is essential for it. Is it? Anything taken in limited quantities is not at all irrelevant. It is very, very good for your health in terms of specification of the quantity. See, if you want a taste, people who are used to tablet, and if you don't have any problem with what we call as acidity or gout, I have no issue. But restrict your content. Maybe every day with that tamarind is not suggested. Maybe 3 days a week Kurambu or sambar, 2 days dal combination, 1 day majge udi or that. This is what is my matter. You combine all that in your food, automatically you are getting variety, you are balancing your nutrient, and also you are also getting good combination of your own preparation.
You said the powder, now it's being sold as manna.
No, that's not manna. This is called ragi delights.
Manna is your solution.
Manna is there. Manna is a different combination. Mine is, I have basically as a nutrition person, I have balanced good essential amino acids in this very carefully. I brought a few, sir. People, I am so sorry, I could not carry much, so I brought just a few packets. But in case you require, I make sure that I can deliver it to you samples. That's definitely possible. In fact, I bought some laddu samples also for children. People who can eat occasionally, I don't mind, but it's basically for children I brought because it's got a combination, and people who want to have, instead of this jamun or something Bengali sweet, then my laddu will be definitely a nutritive portion. It's in fact, my patients wanted part of Nightingale, so they requested me, why don't you sell it with half sugar, because we also have. So in fact, frankly to tell you, this is not full sugar. This is less than, little more than half sugar, 3/4, in between the 3/4 and this thing. I have not added much sugar, let me be very honest. I have not added the amount of sugar I will add, but in spite of it, because of the carbohydrate and protein, it's quite sweet. It's not. Definitely, it's a good idea, ma'am. It's good. You can add palm sugar and use cane powder and make the laddu. But the laddus is quite filling. That's why my son says say, no, he substitutes for the breakfast. So not one, he takes 2 laddus and he says, I skip my breakfast sometimes because I'm not able to go. I said, fine. Because the taste is got into it. See, what is important is you develop the taste from the childhood. The child definitely accepts it. In fact, what I would suggest is, you don't tell me, as parents, don't tell me the child does not. Who bought the chocolate box for the child? It's you. You have cultivated. Bribe the child. After you finish this, I will buy you a chocolate. You have, and you say that. That's naturally, once you tell the child, it's totally stuck to that. So we have, as parents, a lot of responsibility to make the children be healthy and grow healthy.
Regarding vegetables, which is better?
You have not mentioned about curd bath.
Sir?
See, what is the comparison between the curd bath and buttermilk bath?
The curd rice. Curd rice. What is the curd rice?
That is an item of menu.
Okay.
The South Indian food.
No, curd rice is definitely one of the best combination. See, it's the most healthiest. Why? But why I'm telling you is, see, I have not cut down on rice. See, you saw my diet, I cut down on rice. See, if I give as curd rice, then sumptuously we tend to eat curd rice. So, you can definitely have curd rice, provided you are cutting down on the main rasam sadam or your sambar. Definitely you can take 2 pulkas and a bowl of curd rice. Perfectly fine.
Instead of rice, can you use broken wheat?
Excellent, ma'am. In fact, I missed out on that. A good option of rice can be broken wheat. This broken wheat has, you can dhania, what we call a black seed, is available. You buy a good quality one where you can make different vegetable combination in that, and that itself is tasting like kind of good vegetable upma. And that if you substitute for rice, one difference is that will make you feel full compared to your rice. But substitute it slowly. People who cannot take it suddenly, once a week you substitute and then twice a week. But for diabetic people, definitely I do not suggest rice combination at night. Morning once, it's okay. But preferably, as long as your glycemic level is under control, I have no option. Curd rice you can take, sir.
Regarding vegetables, which is better?
No, sugar level I have said very clearly, no rice for the night. I told you. Take no problem. Absolutely no problem. You are taking, how much rice is that happening? How is your sugar? How is your sugar? Normal, under control? Then fine, don't worry. You can go ahead. But if you can suggest red rice or whatever for substituting that, I will be very happy. Once a day, not every day. Once a week you start. If you like it, fine. Once a week you start. You know, it's like very difficult for people who are eating white rice to go to red rice. And not at all in the night. I will never suggest red rice for night because it has got little digestion problems. So avoid in the night, but definitely you can try it in the morning.
Nowadays, in the night, people will take only the raw vegetables. Is it good? Without having any.
I would like to know the age, their activity.
From the small child till the elder, whole family is.
Not for the small children. Small children need some carbohydrates. At least 1 full cup.
That much vegetables, raw vegetables.
Raw vegetable seed is not at all harmful. See, as long as the child is active, there is nothing to worry. But every day not suggested, because what I always feel is that alone is not good. Where is the dal coming from? There is no protein.
Night only salad. Night only salad.
Not for a smaller child. If it's older person who's dieting or taking care of the health, I don't mind. But not for a small child every day. Tell them to take twice a week is fine, not always. Because, you know, the child comes back hungry from the school. Does the child have something?
No.
Only salad?
No. After coming from school, they have night only the whole family.
Okay, then you can suggest, that's okay. Then make sure that they take little curd rice. Very little curd rice in a small cup. Fine. Because what happens to those kids, they are already full, but they are so hungry when they come back. In fact, they finish a dinner type of a course in the evening. So for them, even a little oats porridge or some porridge form is fine. Because some combination of milk is preferable for the night, for the growing up. Because the calcium depletion will happen. So that which I don't know how much of milk the child takes, how much of curd, so it is to be individualized. Yes, sir.
Doctor in the US,
Okay.
carrying out research on
Okay.
different types of food. He has said that variety of wheat grown in India, America, China, and some other eastern countries carry a particular toxin. It's poisonous, and when consumed regularly, it leads to blood pressure, diabetes, and
What is this variety?
and this is that's the only variety grown in all this country.
We have not come across any sign. Maybe probably we'll take it in the forum and just discuss about it, and I'll get back to you.
Weak, eh?
Salads you are saying. It's full of chemicals.
See, let me tell you honestly,
Can we wash it with some
salt water. Some people also wash with potassium chloride. But see, let me be very honest to you. If you're going to take salads outside, I will say no. Because we don't know how much of water they use, what type of water they use for washing. But it is going to be in the house. We can definitely take care of the washing part. We can definitely put it in salt water, and especially coriander is one of the most problematic leaf which can cause major problems in the brain. So you have to ensure coriander has to be washed thoroughly, and even in Palak, they say it's to be taken care very carefully. So you have to wash these vegetables, these green leafy vegetables, especially with little salt. Final rinsing should be with salt, so that we have at least to an extent ensure that it is clean. But salads, I always prefer to have salads for breakfast and lunch or evening. But salads at night is not very clearly suggested for various reasons. If it's for children, I agree, probably they will digest. For old people, I suggest cooked food for the night. That's my strong opinion about cooking.
About black rice. Black rice. You hear about black rice recently.
recently they have.
See, I am frankly telling you, see, I haven't come across major factors based on that. So if definitely you send me your mail, I can, as soon as I get information with that, I can pass it on to you.
They say red rice is good and better than red rice is black rice.
I got it, but I have not heard in form of actual intake and what is the benefit. That part of it I haven't come across.
Black rice now it is being published in articles. Actually in Tamil it's called Kauniyansi.
Kauniyansi, okay.
So it's
Where is it grown actually?
it's grown in our South India.
Okay.
It's there since the beginning.
Okay.
We are not using it and maybe as you see, villages and all they use it.
Uh-huh.
From childhood if they start eating that, they can prevent delay or postpone. They can prevent diabetes.
Okay, maybe probably it contains, see.
No, it's all being published recently. No, that item is no, what item nothing new. It's called Kauniyansi.
Okay, let me take it in the forum this month for our IDA association. I will get back to you probably. I will send the mail and then you can also have a discussion of what exactly it is and how it can be used, how much of it is essential. See, basically all these things, if in National Institute of Nutrition has come out with some survey, you would have got by this time. So since we haven't got anything, probably I think probably it's the recent one, which I will definitely get back to. Kauniyansi, okay.
Coconut can be used.
How many coconuts?
No.
Sterility? Absolutely.
What form does coconut not contribute to cholesterol?
Is it fresh coconut doesn't give effect?
See, let me tell you one thing. Anything in moderate amount, as long as you are healthy, with your triglyceride, cholesterol, sugar level is normal, I have no issue. Even if your cholesterol or triglyceride or your sugar level is not, probably it's on a border or something, sometimes more. As long as you know the quantity you are eating, I can assure you that we can take care of our health. There is nothing to worry. Once, some people say, today I want to eat it and take an extra diet. That is not the way to take. What you should do is, you can cut down on your morning breakfast, little bit on your calorie level and your fat level, then eat whatever you want in the lunchtime, little bit, it doesn't matter. But you have to portion it. You can't take the whole portion. You have to portion it and take what you need. As simple as that. Okay?
You have got a tablet, something like with calories, morning, evening, afterward. Can you take a tablet? Can you overcome all this? Because we are not a very people. We are not software people. They are not able to take a time to eat. Solving is very easy.
Probably in a few days from now, we will get that also. Probably you will be the first to discover.
Because I like that.
Very
In
good.
America, they have got some tablet. If you eat 2 days, they won't get hungry, sir.
That is crazy.
Because I tell you, they got calories and also supporting that baby. They take only milk and bread.
But sir, don't you feel anything chemical reacting for the body may not be as suitable for the body? Let us be natural.
Generalize American condition, American people, American suitable age, they made a tablets and also the ratio changes.
Okay. Maybe for the American style of life it was.
Even now, in border security paper, they have got a tablet. They want to go to border, they won't give a food. Then they take it to
So they take the tablets.
I know it.
Okay. See, why I am telling this, in majority of the population today, see, cost factor again will be a major issue, and when you are getting healthy natural source of nutrients in the natural form, even consumption of these what we call as supplements, I don't recommend. So in case there is a problem of B12 deficiency, if there is a problem of something, we have to take. If there is something related to a calcium deficiency, we have to take. There is no option. Then you can't say, I want to wait for my natural supplement. No. But when it is possible, as much as possible, we prepare our body for the health, good health. That's it. That's the way we should look at it.
What about the Amway products and the Herbalife products,
No.
once again, because my father-in-law and they're facing some problems. So one of my friends suggested why you can give that protein powder everything. So I'm asking this,
See, I am not a person who supports any artificial supplement. I prefer, even in fact, Amway and these people, Herbalife people, came to our forum. They literally had to run out because we are not people who promote such products. We are people who definitely help people to do in the natural way whatever possible is definitely possible. It's only your mindset. It's nothing like, because you've taken powder, you've reduced. What can be, how much of research has been done with the format of this diluting in that particular powder? We don't know. Suppose a person has a problem of kidney, is that person going to be in the listing for that person? No. So never take all these risks in life, especially with health.
After the meal or before the meal, it is said homeopathy. The food should not be taken along or after. It should be taken at least 2 hours earlier.
Okay. See, one thing, I have no listing of what homeopathy says, but since I am a follower of allopathic tablets and medicine, and I am a person who does not say that that for some treatments homeopathy is better, for some treatment Ayurvedic is also better. But according to me, do not eat when you are really hungry. 1 hour or 1.5 hours earlier, if you take a fruit, it's good because you have already filled your stomach one portion of it. Then when you go to your lunch or dinner table, you are not really in a mood to eat so much. So you are already cutting down on half the calories of what your requirement is. That way I look at it probably. That way I would say, okay, what is this? I have no idea as to what the chemical based reaction. As far as this thing is concerned, there is nothing like that. In fact, you can take, they say that fruit should not be taken along with food, but I have no this thing on that.
It can be taken.
It can be taken, there is no problem as long as your parameters of all these things are fine. Go ahead with what is good for you, what you feel comfortable, what you feel happy. Okay, with this I end my talk and thank you for an excellent response from here and hope to have more queries through mail. I will definitely be there to answer. And to you sir, if I come across any information related to your black rice and other products, I will come back. Thank you so much.